Alright, what is going on, guys? It is your boy TKD123 here, back again with another video, and I am super stressed out with school, so I decided to just take a little break from all the studying and everything and record the next installment of the Days Gone overview. We started last week with going over all the different types of freakers that you'll be facing in the wild, from the bears to the hordes to the wolves, all that you'll be facing in terms of the infected in Days Gone. We made a video about it last week, so make sure you go check that out in the description. But we are pressing forward in our overview series for Days Gone leading up to release, and this one we're going to go over all the different characters and casts from protagonist to antagonist in Days Gone. So without further ado, here are the characters and their bios and some footage about the characters of Days Gone. And so I felt it was only right to start with, of course, our main character, the person that we'll be playing throughout the entire game, the protagonist of Days Gone, that is Deacon St. John. So his biography reads that he was passionate to the Mongrels MC at an unknown point, becoming an enforcer for the Mother Charter in farewell, though he has spent some time as a nomad. And so that was his background on him as in the biker gang, the Mongrels MC. He was married to a woman named Sarah, which we will of course talk about here next, who died at some point prior to the events of the game. Sarah gifted Deacon a custom gas tank for his motorcycle, which he kept into the apocalypse, becoming enraged when it was lost to him. Deacon is one of the few humans left after the freaker outbreak. He took up work as a mercenary and bounty hunter in the aftermath of the apocalypse. And so that's kind of what he does now. He is very much a bounty hunter and a mercenary, and he works for all the different camps that have been established for the overall world after the outbreak has occurred. And we have camps like Copeland, which we will talk about Copeland as a character, as well as Iron Mike, which we know a little bit about, but we know enough that to make it juicy enough for this video. And so Deacon as a character seems to be a tragic character, and that's what everything is leading up to kind of have us have a feeling of him just being a tragic character. He's described as being broken, having lost much since the outbreak. Deacon still wears his cut as it reminds him of times when he lived by a code and a brotherhood and camaraderie, things that he felt with his club and the sense of belonging he once had. And so even after the biker gang, the Mongrels MC, is far long gone, he definitely does still have an attachment to that club, as he still wears his jacket from the biker club, as it is told that it reminds him of that brotherly sense of just like his belonging and path, if you will. Deacon doesn't seem to do so well taking orders from others, as he seems very easy to brush off the concerns of a settlement leader who asks him for help. Deacon is far from heartless. He went to save Manny, which we will talk about as well, in from a group of bandits, partially though self-interest, as Manny was the only mechanic around. And so that is leading to believe here that, you know, although Deacon is somewhat the character that is willing to go out and help for the betterment of society and for another person and for just the benefit of that other person, he does seem to have this little slant where he will be more inclined to help out someone if he sees that they are someone that can be of benefit to him in the future. Although we do have some examples that we've had gameplay of where, you know, Deacon is not down to just kill an innocent person that's unarmed. He's not down to do a truly bad thing. However, that might not be the full picture, which we will see from Iron Mike's biography. Next up here we have Sarah St. John, of course the wife of Deacon St. John. She worked as a botanist, though her specific job is currently unknown. She met Deacon St. John after her car broke down and he offered her a lift. The two hit it off and started a relationship. She and Deacon were later married in a small ceremony. She was happy in her life with Deacon, often going on rides on Deacon's motorcycle. She gifted him a custom gas tank, as we said before, and Deacon grew very fond of that gas tank. She died in a helicopter crash near the beginning of the freaker outbreak. Deacon was not able to join her, but he gifted her one of his rings to remember him by. Deacon later found the ring amongst the wreckage of the helicopter when he found the crash site. Deacon continued to grieve for his wife long into the apocalypse. And so I think why Sarah St. John is so important when we talk about Deacon is that, of course, Deacon has a obvious soft spot for his past wife, and so I believe that we will see a lot of heart and emotion come from Deacon through the topic of Sarah St. John, and there seems to be some elements of them searching for Sarah up north. Like, there could be some chance that potentially Sarah could be still alive, even though we're led to believe that she is currently deceased or something like that. There was something going on gone fishy with the story and lore of Sarah and Deacon. I believe that is also proven by the marketing of the game. I feel like they wouldn't put her up front and center so much, and we have so much footage and so many pictures, and even have one of the trailers of the game leading up to release being wholly dedicated on Sarah and Deacon's marriage. I feel like there is something else going on with Sarah that will be integral to the main story of Days Gone, but we will have to see it when the full game comes out. And also, to get kind of tinfoil hat theory, you know, on you all, I feel like there's something else going on with the helicopter scene that was talked about here in Sarah St. John's biography, which we have seen before in the story trailer for Days Gone. It has been talked about a lot, about how Sarah died in a wreckage from a helicopter, and we see that little part in the story trailer, but Boozer asks Deacon as soon as the helicopter takes off, "What did you do?" And so I feel like there's something more going on here with the underlying story of Sarah St. John. I just feel like there's something happening here, and including that, I think there's also a quote by him as well later on in the story trailer as well, where he says, "I hope you're right about your old lady," to Deacon. And so I feel like there's just a lot going on with Sarah that we will know about in the full game. Next up here, speaking of the homie Boozer, we go on to William Boozer Gray, which is a supporting character in Days Gone. Prior to the apocalypse, Boozer was a member of the Mongrels Motorcycle Club, serving as a sergeant at arms. And I just realized that whenever I said Mongrels MC, MC stands for Motorcycle Club. So that's how much I know about motorcycle clubs, and I have not watched Sons of Anarchy, so I know next to nothing about motorcycle clubs. But beside the point, after the freak virus disseminated the population, Boozer traveled with Deacon St. John, another member of the Mongrels. He and Deacon plan on heading north to try and escape the bounty on their heads. And why Boozer is also another interesting character is that we've seen him a ton in all the trailers and gameplays, and he seems to be definitely a character that we will be playing a lot with in Days Gone as well. However, there's also another tidbit here, is that he also is connected to the past of Deacon as well, and Sarah at that as well, because he was the only one apparently out of the whole entire motorcycle club that they were both in, them being Boozer and Deacon, that was at Deacon and Sarah's wedding. And so it seems like definitely Boozer's a lot much of a brother figure to Deacon, and it's even said a lot in all the cutscenes that we had before of any gameplay that we have Boozer and Deacon. It is very clear that they both have a very strong friendship between the two of them, and looks like that is going to lead to something else that is being talked about this whole plan about heading up north. Up north is not only a chance for them to escape their bounties on their heads, but there's also elements of Sarah there that we have not uncovered, or at least don't know yet until the full game releases. So I feel like there's something going on with the north and Sarah, and Boozer and Deacon are searching for it, and we will see when the full game's out, I guess. But Boozer seems to be like a really cool character. I like him a lot so far. I think he's gonna be very, very good. We'll see in the full game. On to our next character here, we have a character named Manny. Manny's a mechanic living in the aftermath of the Freaker outbreak. One day he has brought a motorcycle to salvage for parts. Unbeknownst to him, the bike belonged to none other than Deacon St. John, who is angered by the loss of his bike. Manny promises to rebuild it for him as he gets the parts. At some point, Manny goes out to try and scavenge supplies and ends up being captured. He's later rescued by Deacon. And so this definitely here, I feel like what they just described here, this whole, you know, plot point about how Manny finds and not really finds, Manny has brought Deacon's bike, and then he strips it for parts, and then he promises to build him a new one. So I believe that we will be going to Manny for any of our bike upgrades. I feel like we'll be going to him, and he's sort of the embodiment of a mechanic in the actual world and lore, because he is, you know, as far as we're aware, the only mechanic that can do such things on a motorcycle, and plus he will act as the player's point of interest to be able to upgrade the bike. I believe that's how he's going to function in the game, lore wise, as well as a player focused place wise as well. And if you guys aren't seeing it on screen here, this is the character that Deacon saved from, well, I think we think he saved, not really 100% sure, but you know, saved from the bear that was infected as well. And so we get that little thing here, and this is the part also where this is the character that Deacon saves just because he knows how to fix a bike. And so we don't know if, you know, they really, you know, like if like Deacon really cares about Manny, but we do know that Deacon needs Manny to be able to fix his bike and upgrade his bike and stuff like that. So that is Manny here in Days Gone. He acts as the mechanic of the world. Now the next group here, technically I guess they fall in line with last week's episode of the Days Gone overview, them being some sort of enemy in the world. However, they aren't technically dead, they aren't technically infected, so I guess I'll lump them in here because I just found them in a more detailed manner as I was trying to find them last week, but I felt like I think overall they didn't really fit in last week's episode, so I'll put them here in the characters version of the Days Gone overview, and that is the Rippers. The Rest in Peace cults, more commonly known as Rippers, are a group of uninfected human enemies that worship both the Freakers and the Outbreak itself, believing that to become infected is a gift that all should strive towards becoming. They also believe that civilization and any vestiges of it are blasphemous, and thus typically torture and kill other humans they come across. Members are typically bald, adoring the acronym RIP on their bodies, and will ritualistically mutilate their own bodies with scars and burns. Their tendency to mutilate does not only apply to themselves, but also anybody who is unfortunate enough to find themselves in their territory, which is usually marked by signs known as sigils. And so these Rippers I cannot wait to encounter. I think they are so interesting that they somehow worship the Outbreak as a whole and worship as it itself, and think that it's a gift to become infected and all should strive to become infected and everything. I think it is super interesting. I think they're going to cause a lot of issues for Deacon and other people, because we see them run into Boozer as well as Deacon himself as well in the story trailer very briefly, and so we do see that we will be hopefully getting a lot of Ripper activity in the storyline of Days Gone. Now everyone next up has not been fully fleshed out, and they don't have a lot of descriptions as the other ones do that we just went over, so these are going to be kind of quicker and kind of go at a little bit of a quicker pace because there's less details overall about them currently of this video. And so next up we have Iron Mike here, and at some point he became the leader of an unknown settlement. He knows who Deacon St. John was before the apocalypse and is very hostile towards him, and that's pretty much all we got from the story trailer. And so we have a little, we have some clips of him physically and what he looks like, but he does say some quotes that, I guess he says that a lot of people don't understand the type of person that Deacon St. John is. And so this is where I think it's going to be very interesting, because we have a lot of, story trailers and clips and different things where we can see that Deacon does have a heart, but this man sees the complete opposite of that. Like, he sees a very different Deacon St. John as what we've seen overall, and so he sees a very ruthless, someone that has done unspeakable things. He says even worse than him, and so who knows what he's talking about, but I am intrigued nonetheless to know. And also in that very same story trailer, we have two females that work in the Iron Mike settlement. We have Addison Walker as well as RIKKI Patil, and they say some quotes to Deacon, and I believe they might know him as well from the past. I believe they all know each other even from the I guess before the outbreak even happened. I believe RIKKI, Addison, and Iron Mike as well as Deacon all knew each other before this outbreak, it seems like, but that's not confirmed. And so they do say some quotes here and there, but nothing really concrete that we know about them other than that they also work in the Iron Mike settlement. And what's odd enough, we have this person named Jay O'Brien, which we don't really know anything about other than he became a field officer in Nero. And so Nero, of course, is the scientific branch of the Days Gone universe and everything, and this is the scientist that was yelling and kind of having a panic attack and freaking out at Deacon during the story trailer. And so at some point I believe he will be, I guess, a beneficial and important character. Maybe he might be the main personification of the ties of Nero and the main storyline with Deacon. I believe that might be where his whole involvement is here, but apparently he's very important here to the overall story, hence that he is sectioned off as a character in Days Gone. And then someone we have seen a ton of are Mark Copeland. Mark Copeland is the leader of a survivor camp in the world, and not much is known about Copeland's early life except that growing up he would hunt with his father, and after the outbreak, of course, he set up a survivor camp. He believes firmly in individual freedom, not believing it's his place to tell people how to live. Beneath his gruff exterior, he does care for the well-being of members of his camp. Even before the Freaker outbreak, Copeland was fond of guns and hunting, his father instilling the belief that the U.S. Constitution took precedence over the laws of the day. And so I believe Copeland is going to be one of the leaders of a camp that Deacon doesn't necessarily like or enjoy or really care about in a human standpoint, but he needs him. I believe that, you know, Deacon will be stuck between a rock and a hard place at some point, where he will need to rely on Mark to be able to achieve an end goal that Mark will not allow him to achieve until he does some things for Mark, hence mission. So I believe this will definitely be our person who will be getting some stuff in terms of missions, and I don't think Deacon's gonna like this guy a lot, because from what we've seen before, Deacon does not seem fond of Copeland, you know, to any capacity. And just two quick mentions here to round out the character cast of what we know so far of Days Gone. We have Leon, if you guys have seen the Game Informer first hour of Days Gone, Leon is the first person that we encounter in a very negative way. He does something horrible to a woman that Deacon and Boozer knew, and we go hunt him down and we put him out of his misery to a degree. And so that was Leon there, and he seems to be a character that is, I believe, a camp leader or some sort of prominent figure in the world of Days Gone, that even Copeland asked Deacon to go and find his stash. And so it looks like he has a lot of assets to him and a lot of benefits to Leon, and it looks like a lot of people are out for his wealth or his possessions of some sort. And so he seems to be a very powerful antagonist, at least in the beginning of the game. And then lastly here, we have a character called Two Dog, which is labeled as a minor antagonist in Days Gone, and I haven't seen any indication of him in any early gameplay or trailers or anything like that. I don't know exactly what is up with Two Dog, but he seems to be a minor antagonist, and hence Leon doesn't seem to be the main antagonist of the game, and Two Dog is labeled as a minor antagonist. It looks like maybe they'll both be common in that same way, where I believe they will be kind of little antagonists that we fight, you know, just like the you know, like the kind of just bad guys that we have in the beginning of a regular open world game, until we get to the main honcho at the end of the game. And so that has been a in-depth look at all the characters in Days Gone. If you all enjoyed, make sure to let me know what you get in the comments below. What do you guys think about all these characters? What are your favorite? What are you most intrigued to know more about? For me, it's definitely Deacon as a character. I want to know more about Boozer. I want to know about the Rippers especially, and Iron Mike, because Iron Mike seems to have some tea about Deacon's past that is different from everyone else, and I just want to know. And so I will be looking out for all those details, but let me know what you guys want to know about the characters down below in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like on the video, as well as stay subscribed to PlayStation Source to keep up with the latest and greatest in PlayStation. And down below in the description, you can find our links, our Twitter, our Twitch, all that good stuff down below, and even our Discord as well. Make sure to go pop in that Discord. Let me know what you guys think about Days Gone in that Discord down below in the description. Thank you for watching, and as always, greatness awaits.